Welcome to Speaking from Experience. My name is Rohan, and this is the weekly podcast where I talk about my experiences working in the digital marketing space over the last 10 years, and more importantly, over the last 1 year working at Google. So I really hope you enjoy the episodes you're going to hear. I have poured my heart and soul into them. If you do like the content, please share and subscribe to the podcast. Guys, and welcome to Speaking from Experience. Today we're going to talk about something that I and many others around the world have struggled with in their personal lives, in their professional life, and pretty much while public speaking. Yes, you guessed it right, that is the lack of confidence. And I have worked on my lack of confidence and my fear of public speaking for a while, and 20-30 years in the making, I've become a lot better in public speaking and in presentations. I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm not saying I'm a pro. All I'm trying to say is that the tips that I'm going to talk about today have actually helped me build up my confidence so that I don't buckle down under pressure. I remember from the earliest age, my parents had encouraged me to participate in elocution competitions or storytelling competitions. What this basically was that you had to go up on stage and recite a poem or tell a story to about 100, 200 people, whatever the size of the audience was in your school, in your locality, etc., etc. My parents had also encouraged me to go and sing in front of the public. It's a big thing in India, and I had to practice day and night to actually get my singing perfect. But I realized that as soon as I got up on stage in front of people, I used to get so nervous that I used to either forget the lines of the song, which was quite embarrassing, or I used to just not give it my 100%, and as a result I never used to win any awards, which is fine. But I did realize at a very early age that I did have issues with public speaking, and I was nervous with public speaking. So let's dive straight into some of the tips and some of the things that have helped me over the years to overcome this fear of public speaking and to build my confidence. So the first thing is to understand why you actually have an issue with public speaking or with presentations or whatever makes you nervous. Why is it that you lack that confidence? And for me, in the singing example, was the actual fear of messing up on stage and actually making my parents look bad and embarrassed in front of people. In terms of when I was doing the elocution or the poem competitions, it was actually the nervousness of remembering the poem correctly and actually delivering the story of the poem correctly as well, because unless you have a captive audience, it doesn't really go the way it's supposed to in those kind of competitions. So I worked a lot on identifying the actual issue. So if you, for example, struggle in exams or are nervous in exams, realize that you're nervous in exams so that you can then isolate the issue and actually work on that issue. So step one would be to actually understand what is causing that anxiety and what is causing these issues to prop up. Once you identify the issue, write them down so that you know what you have to work on. And what I started doing in school was that I started writing down the poems so that I not only remembered by reading, but writing down actually reinforced the fact that I had to remember the poem correctly. In terms of the fear of public speaking and actually going up on stage and singing and not making a fool of myself, I got over that by singing in front of my family and just sitting in front of them with the musical instrument that I was going to play, and then practicing in front of them. So just remember to identify your issue and then work on step 2 from there. So in terms of step 2, it's practicing. Practice is what makes you perfect, and practice is what will get you over the hump in terms of your nervousness for public speaking, for examinations, or whatever you're nervous about. For example, this video took me so many months to do because I was too nervous to get in front of the camera and actually record my podcast. Even though I've been dreaming about this and I've been conceptualizing this for 2-3 years now, but it has been so hard for me to just get in front of the camera and just ramble and talk to you guys today for this video. So the way I've gotten over it is by practicing in front of the mirror. I usually write down the script or the points that I want to talk about, and I usually go over them in my mind, especially for the podcast that's not recorded on video. But since today this is being recorded on video and this will be put on YouTube, and this is actually the first video with my face on it, I did practice in front of the mirror. I have also been working on the points and rehearsing what I'm actually going to say properly in terms of a script for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And as I'm saying, like, this has been in the works for a while, but that practice is what has given me the confidence to actually do this today. So once you recognize what is causing your issues, ensure that you keep practicing. So another example of practice making things perfect is at Google. Before any big meeting or before any big client presentation, we all get into a room together and we actually practice some objection handling questions amongst us so that none of us are actually fazed by what the client might say, and we are prepared for every situation out there. Until that presentation and the delivery of that presentation is actually perfect, we keep practicing and we keep ensuring that we have all of our ducks in a row. So keep practicing on your weak points. Along with the practice part comes the habit forming part, and that's actually point 3. Do it until it becomes a habit for you. So in my example of the elocution or the singing competition, I literally practiced day and night until singing that particular song became more of a habit, so that my body didn't freeze up when I was actually singing on stage. I remember if somebody would have even asked me to sing in the middle of the street, I would have burst into that song and I would have given it my best shot because I practiced it so many times. Same thing with meetings. Early on in my career, I was quite nervous in delivering presentations, especially to big clients, because I didn't know how they would receive it. But then as my confidence built up and as I practiced more and more and as I gave more and more presentations, it became more of a habit. And trust me, when it becomes a habit, you'll get this rush from overcoming your obstacle that you'll want to keep doing it more and more, and you'll become even better at it over time. So keep practicing until you overcome your obstacle and it becomes a habit. Always remember that with practice and habit, it's also very important to get feedback, because until you get feedback from people, you won't actually know whether you're improving or whether you are regressing. So an example of that would be if you're nervous in presentations and if you've just given a presentation, make sure you ask your colleagues how the presentation went and whether it was well received and whether they actually understood the content of the presentation. Also remember to ask them for hard advice on what you can improve on, or what they would have done differently in the presentation. It is important to take the feedback in a positive light, because your colleagues, your friends, your family are only giving you that feedback so that you can become better. And the more accepting you are of their feedback, the more you will identify your issues and start practicing and making them a habit and overcoming your obstacles. So be sure to ask them for feedback, and the sooner you ask them for feedback, the better it will be, so that it's top of mind when they give you the feedback. So if you've just given a presentation or given a stage performance, make sure to get feedback right after that, because it'll be top of mind for them and they'll be able to give you more valuable feedback rather than them forgetting and giving you half-hearted feedback later. The last point that I'm going to talk about today is to take a rest. And this is one of the most overlooked points ever. Usually people try to practice, especially during exams, people try to practice until the last moment. And what this does is it overworks your brain, and this is probably the primary reason why people freeze up during exams or during stage performances, because they have too much going on, and because they have too much going on, they become nervous and they can't give 100% to it. So it's so important to just relax and take a break a couple of days before the big day. If you're giving a client presentation, try not to get too stressed out with the numbers. Try not to complete your actual presentation till the very last moment, because the less time you have to practice, the less confident you're going to become. And when you over practice, the less confident you're going to become. So ensure that you give yourself enough leeway to have that time to practice, to take a rest, and to de-stress before your big day. All right, guys, that was it for today. It's taken a lot for me to actually get in front of the camera and record this video. I will try my best to keep these videos coming every couple of weeks. So if you like the videos today, make sure to hit the like button below and to click on the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you get the updates for all my new videos when they come out.